lunar eclipse. It's a lunar eclipse. It's a full moon. There's Mercury in retrograde in a few days. Oh my gosh, it's so much, right? It's so much. So I don't remember a time that the energies have been so intense since, like maybe COVID, but even that was just like a weird, it was this weird sort of slog. But um yeah, I think they're really pulling out all the stops, trying to create as much fear as possible, right? And that's kind of what we've been dealing with is a lot of uncertainty and fear in the collective. And yet, as we're experiencing all this, trying to get, okay. And yet, as we're experiencing all this, we're also being, as within, so without, we're being asked to kind of really look at our own stuff, our own shadows, and try to heal really. And uh and it's like here's the pattern, it's coming up again to be healed. And but it's been like this, I've said this with some clients, I've seen this with clients. It's like this real strong constriction of like a being squeezed sort of energy. And that is exhausting. And sometimes I've seen this with a few people. It's like just kind of crappy things happen, and it's like, why are they happening? Like what's the reason? And sometimes I certainly look at those sorts of things of like, why is this happening? What am I meant to be learning? But a lot of times it's like we don't know yet what the learning is. We don't know what the lesson is, and we aren't meant to know. It's just things are just sort of, happening. And like I really firmly believe, and I wrote about this in my book, Tools for the Awakening Soul. Um, it's right back there. You could see it. Actually, I was thinking like I have to bring some love to my book because I really am proud of it. And I just haven't really been talking about it as much, but I just got an email from Sherman's, which is this bookstore throughout Maine, and they're like, "We need 15 more copies." So they're selling it, which I know because they send me checks every so often, but it's nice that people are, still buying it. So anyway, but what was my point? Oh, in my book, what I had talked about and what I still believe, and now it's like saying the same thing again and again, I guess. But we are there can be two things at play, like things that are happening to us, and we don't understand why necessarily, but we're experiencing them. And then sometimes, and often, the other piece of it is that we are creating our reality with our thoughts, with our beliefs. And that is tricky because you don't want to go around saying, like, oh, this bad thing happened because of you. You created it because of you're not doing it right, or you're not thinking right, or you're not aligned with something, which can be true, but it's not necessarily helpful for us to think that, to go around thinking that we're not doing it right, because then we beat ourselves up and then we get stuck in an even lower vibration, right? But that is a factor. And I think it is important for us to look at that. I just had a client today and we were talking about that. And she was like, I'm doing everything, I feel like I am. My thoughts are, I'm working on my thoughts. I have these mantras I and so when, if that's you and you're doing everything and it feels like you're doing everything and it's still, quote, not working, sometimes it's like, well, first of all, there's time, like change takes time. And then it's also like, well, what is it? What else might be going on? I'm a big believer of like looking at the whole picture. It's kind of like you go to a doctor and you have something wrong, and they're like, all right, let's look at your diet. Let's look at how much you're moving your body. Let's look at, genetics, like all the things, So we're looking at what are your thoughts? What's the nature of the beliefs that you might be carrying about yourself or about reality that you might not even be aware of, but that are contributing to the thoughts you're having. And then it's like, okay, the thoughts often create the emotions that we experience, and the emotions we experience bring about the energy that we're in, and our energy is our vibration. And you know, as much as we can, we want to try to, we're being asked to kind of bring in as much light to heal, to clear up our vibration. Now, that doesn't mean like force yourself to think positive or beat yourself up if you know you're in a lower vibrational state, because that's part of the healing is, experiencing the darkness and really understanding it and seeing it for what it is, all the negative beliefs, all the shadow stuff, the self-doubt, the regret, the shame, the anger, the fear, like really look like, what is this about? What's it connected to in my life? Where did it come from? Almost always it's parents, not always, but almost always it's childhood, as best as wonderful as they were. And then how did that affect me at the time? How is it continuing to affect me? What might my life be like if I were to let it go? If I were to let this sort of belief that I'm carrying or story or energy, there's forgiveness of others that are we holding a grudge? Are we holding anger? Like really that's just hurting us, right? Um, what would happen if I were to let that stuff go? And that's when have that future self possibility of all these beautiful things that we long for ourselves that, can come in when we attune ourselves to that vibration. So but then it's like we try all that stuff and it still, sometimes it feels like it's still not, we're still feeling crappy or things aren't flowing as way we want them to. And, and that, believe me, I've been through all this. And I continue to still, we all do. But, what I will do is then, okay, it's like, then there's the concept of surrender. And this is why the 12-step programs work so well because we surrender to God, to higher powers, to source, to angels, to guides, to kind of be like, all right, I've done these things with my own will as a human, but I understand that there are higher things going on. There's past life patterns that I'm being asked to break, and that is a thing. You know, um, the patterns will repeat. Situations that we once experienced in a past life when we made a certain choice. Maybe we beat ourselves up. Maybe we were taken advantage of repeatedly and people didn't respect us and we allowed them to do that and didn't have strong boundaries in repeated past lives. I've seen this recently. That's why I mentioned it. And so in this life, the same thing happens. They say the pattern repeats until the lesson is learned. And then we say, okay, well, maybe, this keeps happening. What if I were to make a different choice here? And when we make a different choice, then we start to break the pattern. And sometimes it keeps coming back as like, all right, maybe I made a little better of a choice, but the pattern is coming back again. So I can just make an even better one next time. It's like learning, a new sport or a new skill. You keep practicing until you reach a level of mastery, which really is a never ending, uh, it's a never ending. There's always more to learn. And I think sometimes I've heard this from people. It's like, when am I going to be done with this? Like, well, I thought I already healed this thing. And well, the learning continues. That's what it means to be alive in a human body. So anyway, but it is tough, and I think there's a little bit, the energy right now is a little bit of just like, let's keep riding the wave. The storm it might be like this for a lot of this year, like the energy of chaos, but how can we, in the midst of chaos, find peace? How can you kind of be okay with with what you're experiencing. And even if it's not what you want to be experiencing, find moments of gratitude, find things that, that feel good to you, bringing in joy, bringing in flow. Just today, I was outside and, the snow's melting and walking. I went for a walk with my dog on there's these streams that flow on the edge of our property, but they're all frozen, and they dry up sometimes in the winter and now, but they're flowing. And I just was following the stream and just watching where the water was, making, you know, uh, new stream. And it was just so beautiful and so fascinating to watch watch the snow melt and the water coming and just feeling that flow in my own body it's the water just so cleansing and healing. So anyway, nature. Nature is so much the answer for so many of us now. Just get outside, sit on the ground, hug a tree, just sit near water, walk. That is going to help our vibration kind of heal. So, but this evening, I'll get to the point here. And thank you all for being here, by the way. I always enjoy whoever shows up here on Facebook or on Zoom. Just thank you. But I wanted to really, I recently shared a few things in an email about myself and my history and, things I'd done that I wasn't always necessarily proud of. And I did that because um, I wanted to be, transparent with people that, I'm certainly not perfect. I've done some very risky things in my life, done some stupid things, um, done some very rebellious things that I, it's kind of my nature, I guess, is taking risks. But in hindsight, some of that, like I'm just so lucky that I'm still alive. I didn't get harmed because I definitely pushed it a little bit, but there are also some things that I do really regret and I'm not proud of and even ashamed of, and I wish I could redo and not have happened. But I think that's the case for a lot of us that we look at our past or even look at our, things recently in our lives um, that we aren't proud of, and the key when I go on the Akashic Records that the masters really want us to do is to be kind to ourselves and to be nicer to ourselves and stop beating ourselves so much for doing it, beating up ourselves so much for doing it wrong or um, not, being this or not being this, not being enough, or we believe we're not enough. So we can all be really, really hard on ourselves. That's the common theme I see with a lot of clients. And I do the same thing to myself. We would never kind of talk to a child the way we talk to ourselves, but yet our inner child is listening. So when we think of it that way, it's like, how do I really want to talk to myself? How can I be kinder to that little child inside of me? And so one of the greatest masters of forgiveness that I know that comes to me is Jesus, the one called Jesus, otherwise known as Yeshua. And Jesus has been coming to me for a long time as a very strong energy, very strong guide for me. For whatever reason, that's the Christed energy that's with us right now. And so I feel like his energy can really help transmute and help us learn to love ourselves unconditionally. And what does that mean? It means be nicer to ourselves, speak nicer to ourselves. Remember that we're just humans, and maybe even though we made mistakes, doesn't mean we're bad, doesn't mean that we are less than, or we're not enough, but that we're always learning and growing. We're always doing the best we can. That's the nature of being human. So self-forgiveness is really what this is about. And so let's do meditation for that, shall we? Okay. So you can just begin to come into, um, a place of peace and stillness in your body. You can close your eyes. And with all the chaos and intensity and the storm that it feels like was around us right now, can you just allow yourself to settle in, just like settling into your bed at the end of a long day and the warmth of the blankets and the soft pillow? And take a nice deep breath and just let it out. Exhale. Begin to connect with your breath. The breath is always there for us as an anchor. And it can be a source of comfort with all the energies swirling around us. Our breath is still doing what it does. It's very consistent and stable. And so just see if you can notice that. Notice what's happening as the breath flows in your body. Feel your belly expanding to create space for the in-breath. Feel your lungs opening. Feels so good just to take a nice deep breath and let a lot of oxygen in to cleanse the lungs. And as you exhale, that oxygen can move through your body. There's more space for it to flow. And just notice how your breath slows. And how comforting that is. Just slow down. Notice if your body is holding any tension. Make sure your shoulders are dropped. Relax your neck. Relax your hands. Let your belly be soft. Let your back be soft. And begin to connect in with your heart. How's your heart doing today? Is your heart feeling open or is it closed a little bit? And can you breathe into your heart space, just opening up your heart like you're opening the door and allowing light to come in to your heart. Maybe you feel that light flowing in other parts of your body as well, through the top of your head, through your hands. This is activating your own light, which is the light of God, which is the light of the highest source. And one of the masters of that light who was able to embody that light in human form is the one known as Jesus of Nazareth, Yeshua, the Christed one, however you like to call him. And knowing some of you may have associations with that name, see if you can just open yourself to the light and allow the light to clear away any associations, any sort of programming, negative programming. So allow that light to wash it away so you can connect directly through your heart to the Christ light. So strong, so powerful. And it's a conduit. It's an easier way for us to connect with the light of Creator, of Source, of God, which can feel distant and can feel nebulous to us. And yet through the one known as Jesus, as Yeshua, as the Christ, this light is channeled, is amplified, is attuned. Maybe you feel this light. Maybe you actually have a picture of an image of a bearded man in white robes. Whatever feels right to you. Or maybe it's just the light. His energy is filled with love. And you may feel him holding your hand or giving you a hug or just touching your shoulder. He's here for you. And he loves you unconditionally, no matter what you have done or you have thought or what you believe. That light, the light of the Christ, cuts through all of that. Just allow this light to pour into your heart, flow through your body, through every layer, through every stuck place. This is light of the Most High. You may even feel this light moving through emotions that you've carried about your past or about even your present, things that have brought about shame or regret. Or feeling of being less than or not enough. Allow this light of the high source, the light of the Christed One, to heal all of those emotions. Just like water in the ocean that smooths over rough rocks and makes them smooth and soft into stones that we hold and rub in our hands. Allow all those heavy emotions to be transmuted with this light. Wherever you've held those negative beliefs and negative self-talk in your body, whether it's in your head or your throat or your heart or your belly or somewhere else, let the light, Jesus of Nazareth, flow in for healing. Allow yourself to soak this up at a deep level, just soaking it up in your bones. Every cell receiving this light, and know that you will continue to receive this healing, that now that you've connected with the one called Jesus, he is always going to be with you. He will be with you whenever you call upon him. And even if you don't, he is there. Just as he loves you, he wants you to love yourself as he sees you as a child of God. He wants you to see yourself as the same. And you are beloved. You are love and you are loved. You are enough. You are more than enough. Soak this up in your heart. You can take a deep breath in and slow breath out. And as we begin to come back into our bodies, you can just come into gratitude. Maybe give yourself a nice hug just before we do that to seal this in. And just give thanks. You can put your hands in prayer position, fold them over your heart, or even hold them out in front of you to receive even more. You're with your palms lifted up. Whatever feels right, just taking a moment to just give thanks. Thanking Jesus of Nazareth for being here, Yeshua, the Christed One, the energy of all that is, the energy of Source, of Creator, of God. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for guiding us. Thank you for giving us strength to move forward in our healing for of ourselves and of the collective. And for this and so much more, we give deep thanks and gratitude. May it be so. So it is. You can stretch out, coming into your body, moving your hands and feet. And open your eyes whenever you're ready. Yep. Light, I tell you, so, so powerful. I don't know about you, but I just feel, tears start to come out. And I have to be like, oh, I gotta really like anchor myself to do the meditation. But, the light of the Christ is just light like none other. And for me, whenever, it's interesting because I don't go to church, I'm not religious, as you probably know, but, the one that comes in, the one that's the most powerful healing for me is Jesus. And when I try to connect with my guides, they're there, the angels there, but the strongest energy, the strongest light is that of Jesus. And it's just so fascinating to me. It's really, really, really interesting. So um, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being open to it. Yeah, so healing. So may we all continue to just, go with this flow. And when we're feeling stuck, when we're feeling confused, feeling like we don't know what to do, I encourage you to just take a moment and just close your eyes and just even ask, like, where's the light? Where's the light within me? Where's the light outside of me? And sometimes we have to kind of, open the door, and it's always there. We just have to bring our awareness to it. The last thing we want to do is think, oh, there isn't any light, because of course that's not true. There always is light. It's just about being aware of it. So it's like, where is it? It's here somewhere. Okay. Oh, there it is. And just allowing that light to come in. Who is here for me? There's often just, there's divine beings always with us. We just have to open ourselves to notice them, to feel their presence. And they will be there. And often it's Jesus for me. And I'm guessing if you're here listening, that's the same for you. And there's all others too, of course, that will come in. But we are not doing this alone. And in fact, we're going to need these loving beings to call upon them to get us through this year in particular, and just this whole age of awakening where there's so much that's being dismantled. There's so much chaos. And for those of us who are here to help bring light, to anchor the light, to share the light, if you're here listening, I'm guessing that's you. Um, as much as we can kind of be like those mountains in the storm, like those, really strong old trees anchored in by the roots to hold ourselves, to hold the light for others who are not able to do so. And there are many who don't have the tools that a lot of us here do, that they're not meant to have the tools necessarily in this lifetime, and they're suffering and they need help. So the more that we can anchor the light for them, the more that will help the planet move into higher consciousness. So, and all humans, right? And all sentient beings. So I hope and pray for that. And I believe we're moving in that direction. It's just a little bit rocky right now, but it has to be seen. All the shadows have to be seen. They have to come out so they can be healed. Okay. Thank you all for being here. I'll be back in a few weeks. Let's see what I want to share with you coming up. Doing a live Akashic Records class in South Portland in a few weeks. Only 2 spots left. This is at Soma Massage and Wellness. I have a retreat coming up in May, which is going to be so cool. This amazing, beautiful place. This huge, like, I don't even know what to call it. Resort, bed and breakfast combination of the two called Limina Renewal Center in Searsport, right in the ocean. We're going to do a lot of connecting with spirit. There's still some spots left for that. Then, of course, there's the intuitive guide program that I'm starting next week. Still a few spots left for that as well. And yes, that's you. Thank you. I'm thinking about, I've had a few people ask me about sliding scale, and I'm thinking of offering a few. I am offering a few spots of that, which maybe might make it easier for those who wanna do this work, but have some financial challenges, which is a real thing for a lot of us these days. So anyway, reach out to me if you are interested in any of these sorts of things. And in the meantime, sending you all many blessings, much love. May we continue to flow with the light. It's there for us and we need it. Take care. Many blessings. Bye.